Okay, this is the first time I'm picking up the camera in about 2 weeks. We're coming off a crazy December. That was basically a bender. We had Kelowna, Cabo, Aspen, and then basically a week of Christmas parties leading up to Christmas. And now it's December 28th. This week I'm focusing on planning, strategy, preparing for Q1. It's also times like these, at the end of the year where I like to think bigger picture.
Yo, I'm taking risks, getting my paper right. Karma might get them, they gotta pay the price.
I look like Harry Potter.
I'm feeling low, it could be worse. All of my VV shine.
Okay, so it's the next day, almost 6 p.m. here. I just spent all day finishing this manifesto, and December 29th, I usually spend much more time focusing on strategy and planning for the upcoming year on the business. I just spent the last 3 days focusing on me, myself, and what I want out of my life. And it was a journey. I highly recommend. Did some deep thinking that I don't think I normally would do. It goes beyond journaling. It took a lot. I'm gonna read you guys a passage just because I thought it was powerful. 2026 Manifesto, December 28th, 2025, looking into 2026. Self-mastery through building something that outlives you. At 27 years old, I recognize that my purpose is evolving. Lately, it has started to take shape through the desire to build a life that impacts people and generations beyond me. It began with expanding my freedom and autonomy in this life. So that was the intro. I'm gonna read the company's part. I mean, the whole thing is great, and I'd love to share it with as many people as possible. But I think the company part is cool because it's grounded in origin. It comes from a life event, a person. This guy right here, who was definitely had his flaws, many that I didn't know of while he was around, but was his best self with me and truly impacted me, inspired me to be a better person, and inspired me to name this company after him. So here's number 3, my companies. My grandpa, Artin, was the coolest guy I ever met. He was multi-talented, diverse in skills, extremely knowledgeable, funny, and curious about the world. The last words he ever said to me were, "Always keep your integrity." I'm telling this story because to have your favorite person's last words be, "Always keep your integrity," implies that he already trusted mine. Because Artin is where I pour my energy and integrity into something that can move, grow, and impact. So I'm happy to share more of this. 2025, I definitely set a foundation for myself. There were so many things that were new. Tech, content, putting life in my own hands. And a lot of that resulted in friction and a year of growth. I feel like I grew a lot in 2025, and in 2026, I'm sure there'll be more things that are inevitable or unforeseen, but I'm really looking to execute in 2026. Are we going best of 5 or best of 3? Oh. Not too bad.
Not too bad at all.
Their MVP right there.
As usual. As usual.
I look like Harry Potter. Yeah.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you. So, very special someone bought me these Meta glasses. And the cool thing about them is that you can record. I can give a POV as to what's going on. Today we're doing goal setting. We're gonna start personally and then we're gonna get into the business. I've been goal setting for a long time, but Here's one that I've always kind of looked back to, and that did it in solder. This is 5-6 years ago for me. A lot of these things here I completed, and a lot of them I actually missed. But when I look back on this, just even achieving, I'd say 50% of these, I have to check off a lot more of them because I haven't looked at it in a while, but it's like I didn't graduate from university. That was one of my goals. It was specialized in finance, real estate. But I did get to 50 plus listings managed and scaled. I hit certain metrics with my fitness that I put here. You have to think to grow rich. It starts in the mind. Like there's nowhere else it starts. Of course, what we're trying to make happen is in reality, but it starts in your mind, and you have to think it. You have to obsess with it, basically. And today we're using our mind to put out objectives that I want to see happen in reality. Extremely beautiful right now. Very beautiful. All right, finishing up the personal goals here now. Why don't we just go over them? I'm gonna take some of these out. Some of them are business goals. I just couldn't help but write them down. Some of them are actual personal goals that I'll keep. Some of my fitness goals are conflicting, but I really like how I'm going about just kind of the health stuff as well as just the mind stuff. I'm gonna try to keep my resting heart rate on average per week 43 or below. My HRV above 67. That's gonna make it so I cannot drink alcohol really this quarter, which I'm down for. It's good to be social and all that, but I've been very social lately. Got to be aware of that. If I actually want to achieve what I'm setting out here on the business front, especially, and the fitness front, there is no room to overdo it socially. So I'm allowing myself 2 social events a month. Well, I'm trying to figure out whether it's 2 or 3, but probably 2. Okay, I just sat here from 8:30 a.m. It's now 5:45 p.m. Took a couple meetings, but got some good time for deep work. I set personal objectives, and then I did annual company objectives. So for 2026, the 5 most important goals. Then I also tied them to the databases and did relations between the quarterly goals and the monthly goals. I've said this a lot in previous YouTube videos about basically just every quarter how I have to replan these. I have to tie reality. I can't just be randomly making goals. Otherwise, it's quite discouraging if it's actually not achievable. Now, I guess it's important to note that you kind of have to have some sort of general understanding of how databases work, maybe even how Notion works to get what I'm about to say. But I'll keep talking about Notion and databases and explaining, and the more the audience for this channel kind of keeps communicating with me, asking me more questions, showing interest and stuff like this. Basically, we have these timeline databases, and they can relate to our goals databases. So I started with planning the goals for 2026. You'll see that we had our goals for 2025 here, and now these are the 2026 goals. So they got to be broad, they got to be big, and then the quarterly, the monthly, and then projects are more like specific stuff. But 17 million top line, 450 active properties, 4.75 plus Google rating, 5 million on our artinproperties.ca, and then 50,000 on our social following. These are kind of boring goals, but really the whole point of making them boring and big and kind of all encompassing is that you need a goal to string everything up from the top. So let's talk about like the tech side of things. Right now on a day-to-day, I'm way more focused on shipping the next feature, or making a certain part of the UX, the user experience. On the day-to-day can get very intensive and detailed orientated. But ultimately, this website's trying to make us fucking money, right? And by the end of the year, we could do 3 million in December and 2 million in November. But ultimately, I'm trying to make a website that's trying to make money. And that's why the annual goal, I can only have one annual goal. It's 5 million. It's not, a reincarnation of our mission, which is to make renting easier. Let's just make 5 million. You can really pick anything when you're making these goals, and you can be totally off the marker, or you can be right on. That's why I pick these goals that kind of are like an umbrella, and then it's really, you know, the planning that goes into actually achieving these goals and segregating things, organizing things. That's the real work. 460 gram ribeye, 300 grams sweet potatoes. Running a calorie deficit and eating 2 meals a day right now just because I ate a ton around Christmas. So we're stabilizing 2 meals a day. Didn't do much today, didn't work out today. I wanted to give my body a rest. Same shit tomorrow. Okay, quick little update here. It's now New Year's Eve at noon. I've finished all my personal goals for the year and the company goals for the year. I've now divided them into quarterly goals for the company. That's every quarter, Q1 through Q4, and then every month, January through December, breaking down these goals. I'm now writing an overview for our annual goals with a description on, you know, the overview and why they matter, and then how we go about achieving these goals. I will then do that for the quarterly goals and the monthly goals. Context is big, specific to these goals. It's gonna help me be able to communicate to the company, you know, exactly how we're gonna be able to do this through a deck that I will present 10 days from now. So yeah, I'm getting oriented around what really pulls us from the top, which are these goals. What's like the true work is creating projects and actually strategizing how we will unlock these goals as a team. Who's gonna own certain things that need to be achieved, you know, improve certain pillars of the company, all of that. So yeah, got that done this morning. I'm going to a meeting now with a realtor who's referred us a client. Gonna go work out, then come back and get back to work. I'm actually gonna meet my dad for dinner. Feeling in a decent spot going into Jan 1 tomorrow with planning. Got all the monthly objectives, quarterly and annuals down for the company. Also got a bunch of my personal stuff done. What's left tomorrow now is to scrap all the existing projects because a lot of them are stale, and then instill the ones that I think are most important to be completed, basically as milestones throughout the first month, the second month, and the third month of the quarter. As projects, who own them, everything like that. And I think that's where Notion gets pretty cool, so I'm excited to show you guys that tomorrow. Yeah, I'm super grateful for 2025. Square on what I'm grateful about. I'm grateful about me pushing myself. It was a year where I felt stressed, where I got into a bunch of new things, where it felt like, you know, I was burning cash. That was stressful. It was the first time where like it felt like the cash burn had to continue. You don't know when things are gonna flop and actually start going your way. You know, I think, you know, by March we're gonna, you know, certainly be profitable, and we were profitable through July and August. That was it on a cash flow basis this last year. So it's obviously that can't happen forever, and that's stressful. And for the first time having to go through that as a founder through the entirety of the year basically made it very much like your vision has to work, otherwise you're fucked. A lot of sacrifices were made in light of that. A lot of new things were tried, a lot of changes happened, and I'm proud of myself for staying in motion. This YouTube stuff's crazy. Like, the fact, I mean, I've said it a bunch of times, but yeah. I'm gonna have a little dinner here with my dad, keep it chill tonight, get back to work tomorrow, and like I keep saying, show you guys 2026. I mean, like, I live a great life. I'm comfortable. I mean, there's a burn rate to it, but I want to show you guys how a year could take you to another level, because I've experienced it before a couple times, like 2 or 3 years basically, where I had some good years, and it's fucking fun. It's fun to take your life to the next level. Okay, that's it. Sick shirt by Unknown Studios, my buddy Gunner. See you guys. It's 4:37 p.m. on January 1st. I've been sitting here all day, but I'm pretty pumped because now I've done the most planning I've ever done going into a year and a quarter. And why don't I show you guys? Okay, so I planned out every single annual objective, and then I planned out every single quarterly goal that derived from the annual goals. Same with the monthly. The thing with the monthly though, where I went another level, what I did was I attached 3 projects to every monthly goal for January specifically. These projects were more qualitative than quantitative. They moved the needle across something that needs to actually be done given the circumstances and situation for the company. And then I wrote out an agenda for how it's going to go over the next 30 days. And then I'll actually meet with the teams and the owners of the project, get aligned with them on the first week of the year. We'll hash out any differences in opinion, make it clear, and then I'll be fully aligned on projects, goals. I usually like to present the first Monday of every quarter, but because this is an annual presentation as well as a quarterly presentation, I want to give everyone the first week of the year just to get settled. So let's just pick an easy monthly goal. So 17 onboarded homes in January. They now have 3 projects. This basically just explains that the scope is to go through every single home that's in our onboarding database, pick out the ones that we know we can onboard or are actually achievable to onboard, and then track them week by week. Let's, like for another example, and one of them is doing 125K native to our website. Well, in order for that to happen, we need to make sure the long-term leases work end to end on the platform. A ton of planning, and it's necessary. When you just go ahead and you build a presentation without really digging into the weeds from the top down, and that's really how I can speak confidently and actually inspire people, which is the biggest part of the presentation. Like the feeling that's gonna make me feel successful when I go and present to the company 10 days from now is that they're all just like, fuck yeah, we get it, and we are pumped up to make this happen. Okay, walking to the gym now. For all you founders out there, wanted to explain the alleviation of stress and anxiety, spending those last 3 or 4 or 5 days doing planning and strategy for the business, hunkering down and just getting it done. Like this is the calmest I've felt in a while. It really is just a matter of execution, communication, and polishing. January 1st feels good to have done all that work and know exactly what I need to do for the next 30 days, 60 days, and 90 days. So that was definitely another level of planning that I just achieved, and it makes you feel good. It makes you feel good when you really care about the direction and the, velocity in which your business is headed. All right, we got 2 plates here for weighted pull-ups.
On G60 with this bitch, promise you coming with me or not? Fuck around way too much these days, I can't keep pace, I can't keep up. Times like this get lonely, yeah. Fuck around me, get lonely, yeah.
Okay, workout complete. I hit a 365 bench press PR yesterday, and it was the first time I surpassed my previous record in 2.5 years. Now, no one gives a fuck how much I can bench press, but what I thought was cool, you just never know when the work will show up. You never know when you're gonna have a breakthrough. For me, I couldn't PR on my bench for 2.5 fucking years. And like, I wanted to. Yeah, I've been busy. Yeah, my business got fucked by the socialism here. But I always kept pushing. I stayed right there, as close as to my potential as I possibly could. And I broke through. Doesn't matter what area of life it's in. You stick with it, you keep it moving. You keep doing the right things, you plan, you strategize, you reinvent, you readapt. You might just find a breakthrough on the most random fucking day when you weren't expecting it. Okay, good morning. January 2nd, 2026. We finished all the company goals, finished all my personal goals. Now we get into the weeds of building out how these projects that align to actually making these goals happen in reality are gonna play out on a week-to-week basis. I'm gonna be hitting the whiteboard, kind of just conceptualizing things, going from the Notion setup to just physical paper. Sometimes it helps just use your brain in a different way. Okay, now that all the goal settings complete, I'm now working on the strategic plan presentation deck. This is what I got so far. Just a bunch of pages. Started off super basic, make some sort of, analogy as to setting the stage for the quarter. And this is how many employees we have now. We brought in 2 or 3 hires I'm super excited about. A CFO, David, a director of corporate strategy, Jason. They're both from big companies. Jason used to work for Cisco, a big tech company. Super excited about the knowledge and just his perspective that he's bringing. And then same goes for David. David worked for Brookfield Asset Management and was on the FP&A team. So that's financial planning and analysis at Aritzia. And then I poached this guy, Brian, who was a key performer at a company that's very similar to mine. We brought in Fady, we brought in some help on the sales front, and then we hired a new property manager. So it's like 5 or 6 new employees starting 3 days from now. You want to make a strong first impression, that's for sure. And also by acquiring talent, not only does the level and standard, the regard we hold ourselves in the company go up, it's no different for me. I have to lead. The way my leadership evolves needs to set the stage and really set the tone. So yeah, I think I'm on the right track here with the planning. I've just been I literally haven't left my apartment in 5 days, not much at least. So yeah, we're working through this. It's kind of crazy to see that we have 26 employees on salary to start the year. So something to note, all of their salaries to start the year. So this expense should only go up. Adds up to $115,000 a month in overhead. That means we need to profit $115,000 a month just to cover our employees' salaries, let alone, the rent and the lights in the office, all the subscriptions we pay for to actually be able to work on using the internet. Just another one in the books. Okay, it's now Sunday, 10:30 a.m. This is gonna be the last day of this vlog. This boring vlog where all I've done is just sit down here, work, plan, strategize, and work out to keep my brain sane. I'm about to go meet with my newly hired CFO. Super excited about this guy. Just about done drafting out the quarterly strategic plan. All the goals are set, and I'm feeling grounded. I'm just ready to get back into action at the office. Coffee secured. A nice little quarter cup for the boys. That's all I got. Prejudice to that Armenian blood. Only get a quarter cup. We're about to have breakfast. 6 eggs and berries. I'm feeling really good. I'm very excited about the CFO. From my perspective, I'm bringing someone in who's coming from a high standard, and it's just like fire under my ass to increase the standard that we hold everyone accountable to here at Artin, but just essentially level up. And of course, it requires me to start first. It requires an internal evaluation. The external world isn't gonna change unless I internally become better. The reason why I pulled him into the conversation in terms of strategy, even though he hasn't even had his first day yet, is now we are programming the KPIs, and then we actually are creating incentives, bonuses that lead up to our quarterly goals and our monthly goals. That needs to come down to an equation. It needs to be derived from revenue, actual increase in our profits. The company has got to a point where my perspective on finance and accounting just doesn't cut it. I'm not good enough. I don't know enough about it. That's why we're bringing in someone who's better than me. Okay, we're back. We're wrapping up my day. Yeah, I'm feeling really good. I'm really happy with the work that I got done these last 5 days throughout this blog, about the level of organization going in, given just how much we got going on and how tough it is to really gamify everything and make it so things are understood by everyone in the company and there's a road to hitting our objectives. And I hope for any of you guys that maybe have your own companies, want to run your own companies, just want to see what it's like for a guy doing shit like this, that it was insightful. I'm going to get to bed. I got to be up in 5 hours. Huge day tomorrow. 2 of the biggest hires I've ever brought onto the team. Ton of meetings. I'm going to take you guys through the first week back into the office. It's week 2 of 2026. January 5th tomorrow. Can't believe it. Going to be the best year of Artin's history. I'm going to show you guys how we fucking get it done. So maybe you guys can too. Peace.